Hi, I'm Rebecca with Monit's Vocal Studio. Let's check in.
Are you going to be able to put on a play?
Hi, I'm Rebecca with Monit's Vocal Studio, and today's interview features Jared Helm, a dear friend of mine that I used to work with at Coeur d'Alene High School. He's still there. He's the theater teacher, going strong, and he is an award-winning educator many times over. He is loved by his students, he is respected in the community, and he is a most wonderful human being. Enjoy. I have to ask you first, so I'm going to start asking you questions, if that's
Okay, I love it.
so. Actually, it's more of an introductory statement. For those who are watching this that do not know you, would you tell them who you are and a little bit about what you do and your interests in part of your life?
Oh my gosh, well that's an awesome question. First off, I just want to say that I've done some videos like this on your end of things, and I'm like, this actually feels really cool. This is awesome. So thank you for bringing light to this. So yeah, no, well, I'm Jared A. Helm, as I would call myself, I guess, especially in a theater. So yeah, I am a theater person, but that's not who I am. I'm a educator, but that's not who I am. I guess who I am is really trying to be the best human I can be with a complete message of the idea that goodwill conquers all. So that's kind of me as an aura or an energy or a soul. But ultimately, I have been teaching at Coeur d'Alene High School for 13 years. I cannot believe that. That is crazy to me. But we have had such a great run of it. The art these students have been able to create is epic. But I think, like most drama teachers, we're very saturated within our own space because we have so much we're giving to our, like all teachers, we have so much that we're giving to the students in that space. So I think sometimes it's hard for us to get out into the greater community and to support the art that's occurring, but we do. And so but some of my other hobbies and interests, really quick, I love the water. I think we live in one of the most beautiful places, so the water. And I absolutely adore cooking and family and friends and all of those great energies combined and coming together.
That's awesome. Coming back to the part where you said, what you do is not who you are. That is so powerful. I know that for me, my 30s, I didn't get that. I thought that what I did was who I was. I believe my value was in what I presented. And that goes deep. That's a whole different conversation. And I've had to navigate those waters, and it's beautiful to be on the other side of it. But sometimes people forget that educators and the people that are in this right now, especially, that you're people, you're human beings, and you have a life outside of what you do. And you do give so much all day. Sometimes you take it home with you. Often certain teachers do, right? Like, you care so much. And if people only knew, I think a lot of people know now more than ever what the struggle really looks like on the other end of that Zoom camera, right? When they're helping their kids, and there's more empathy, I think. And there's empathy back and forth, of course. But I'm curious, like, how have you, because I know that for 13 years you've been finding this place. How have you evolved as a teacher in understanding creating that space for Jared outside of teaching? Because you could be there all day, every day.
Yeah. Wow, that is such a great question. And I think all teachers try to do that. Um, well, one of the reasons I think is that, I am 35 years old, and consciously with the partner in my life, we have made a choice not to have our own children. And I think, honestly, that helps a little bit because I'm able to give that kind of energy and that time, really time, because time is energy. Energy is time. We like to ignore that. We don't want to believe that, but it's very true. And I have actually an equation in theater. It's very similar. It's that volume equals energy, energy equals volume. So it's kind of that equation that what we give is what we get. How much energy we give is how much volume we'll receive in this kind of reciprocal thing. But with the idea that my partner and I live a life where it's very chill, it's very relaxed, all of our needs are met, and we're just very privileged and lucky and happy and honored to have all of our needs met. And we really can afford time for this and afford time for us individually and us as a couple in our life and with our family and our friends. So I would say that time management is a huge thing that has increased in my life. Delegation. I now know how to teach students and people how to do things, and then they'll repeat it and get better at it. And I guess in a lot of ways too, just like, it's art and it's all about the process and never about the product. We want to think it's about the product, but it's just not the product. So when we focus on the process, nothing's a loss. Like when we had to cancel Mary Poppins last year, it wasn't a loss because everybody had already been able to engage in part of the process. So they had, I mean, in that cast, they were like 90% memorized at 3.5 weeks into getting their scripts. Like, it was off the charts. And they still they could have put the play on in 2 weeks had we had the set, but they still had like 5 weeks, including spring break. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But they took so much pride in that process. And so I've grown in my own process and just kind of been able to figure out how I fit within this equation.
That is so cool. That's huge. And I remember us talking. So for those who don't know, we worked together at Coeur d'Alene High School for many years, and that was huge. We would talk a lot about that very thing you said, that it's the process, not the product. I say that all the time to my voice students because we do get caught up in that end goal that is so far down the pike. And then we're in constant frustration if we're not there right now. Embrace the journey. It's a joy. And there are bad days and good days, but what are we going to learn from that, right?
Yeah. I love that. Love that.
Powerful. I'm curious. So what, if you have, even one, you might have more than one, but if you can think of one, a triumph as a teacher where you just went, you were overwhelmed with joy and pride for a student or a production where it was a moment of yes, something you're so proud of.
Wow, that is such a loaded question. No, I love that question. That means a lot to me. I always tell my students that I live in the present. And I think that the reason I say that is a lot of times because I have my own hopes and desires to be able to give to the people I have in the moment. So an honest answer to that question would have to be those moments occur weekly, if not daily. And if I'm not finding that moment within the day or within the week, I don't think I would be a teacher anymore. And specifically, I wouldn't, because if I'm not finding that, especially during this COVID time, it would be very difficult. But I guess in respect to that, one of the two greatest honors that I've really received, I guess, that have made me go, wow, people do appreciate what I do, is in 2018, I got the Idaho State Drama Teacher of the Year award from my peers. And that meant a lot because I knew them all at that time. I was 11 years into my teaching career, or 10 years. So like they had seen me and been around me, and our competitive drama team had successes. So that was like rewarding. But then in 2019, I received the Coeur d'Alene School District Secondary Teacher of the Year. And it was the third time I'd been nominated for the award by my peers at Coeur d'Alene High School. But what was so crazy about it is that I'd always noticed that like it didn't tend to be an electives teacher that would get the award. Like it would be like science or language arts, or it just was rarely anything else. And the year I won it, it hit me just like really in the heart that like people saw what I was doing, even though they don't always get to see it.
That is so wonderful. It's when I talk about you to students who come in, who are your students and take lessons from me, they light up. And it's because you see them, and because you first of all show up and have the courage to be who you are. That's the first thing that you taught me. When you came in, I was like, this person is going to show up, so I can too. And it means so much to me. And I know that, when your name is brought up, kids' faces light up, and they know you care about them. And, that's a powerful thing, especially in the world we live in today. You see them and they matter. That's
Yeah.
huge.
No, it's beyond huge,
Yeah.
and I was thinking about that the other day. I was like really thinking about this whole way in which the student has to learn right now, especially in our district, part-time. They're learning online, they're learning in person. And I was really thinking about specific students. I was like, no other student in my entire career of teaching has had to do what this student's doing. And I had to give a huge shout out to them, because I was like, you guys don't even get that you're learning an entire new way of learning. You're engaging at a different level. And I said, it's epic. It's epic. And it's epic that you're showing up for that. And it's such a difficult time. And I think that there are a lot of teachers out there right now, and I know you know this because you've got a lot of teacher friends. You've been in the teacher circle. We follow a lot of teachers. We know a lot of teachers, and a lot of them are looking for also for the student to and them to have those moments, and they're finding those moments, and they're diving really deep within themselves and their students to connect, and they're kicking butt at it. And it is such a hard time, for every one of us teachers, from those teaching individual lessons to those of us teaching in the classroom, publicly, privately, charter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah, I have students who are really struggling with what feels like the changes that happen daily. With one day you're in one, like the yellow, then the orange, and maybe the red, like the different color codes that different districts have. And I know that my brother and sister-in-law teach in a district. They're in California, so they're on Zoom for the rest of the year for sure, that I'm aware of. And some of the students I've talked to up here are just feeling a sense of, I need something to grab onto, because they appreciate the structure, but when things shift daily, they're having a really difficult time. Have you navigated that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think partially, but it's been that kind of transitional system, and I'm seeing such a turn, like I was saying, like they're turning a leaf now, and
Okay.
they're starting to create a schedule. I think for all of us, going back to that idea of time, I think so many of us had shifted our schedule, and we were doing things at the wrong times in a lot of ways, and the wrong time being not in the structure of the school system or a normal work day or whatever it may be, because we were, busy doing other things. And so I think these students are finally, a lot of them are finding the schedule that's working for them, and the sleep patterns. And so I'm noticing an increase. And me, self-improvement and individual, like little steps, that's like gets me all excited. I'm all about individualized learning. And when you take these little, and you get it because you're about you're all about individualized learning.
Yes.
And it's like these little steps, and I'm like, it's so exciting,
It is so exciting. And
Yeah.
This is a great time to hone your craft. We're kind of in a simmer spot. We're simmering, right? So it's like, you guys, if you've ever really wanted to dig in and hone a certain part of your craft that you just haven't had time for because there's been show after show after show, dig in, right? That's where I'm at with it.
Beyond. And the other thing that I've been saying, which is just and I don't even know if this is going to be truth, but it's based in a lot of, I guess you could say, assumption, but this industry is in a moment where there's going to be a lot of cycling and a lot of change. And that change is really going to be seen, 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. It's going to go on. And so exactly, if you're honing your craft, you're increasing your skills, you're building your repertoire, you're really creating your package, then you're able to go forth and share that with anybody in a truthful manner. You're studying, you're acting. One of the biggest things I'm about with actors is you got to have a method. You got to have a process.
Yes.
And I can tell you, it can't be a plow process. It's got to dive deep within that work. I know singing is so similar as well. So,
oh my God,
for sure, it's a great time for them.
How have you helped those students see that it's more than just being a good singer, a good actor, a good dancer, and landing it and being the best, but being a good person? How have you helped students see that?
That's such a good question. I appreciate that so very much, because what I've really done, I think, is I don't, again, I don't, I don't encourage this industry, specifically the acting and performance side of it, to very many people. And that's my mentality. I do encourage the the programs in colleges, because I think that a program in any of the arts, period, end of discussion, is only going to make you a better human. And ultimately, my goal in theater is to not make you the best performer, is to make you the best human, because the best human is going to land the audition. The best human is going to get the job. And people feel like that's so cliche, but it is absolutely not cliche. And now where I'm at versus 13 years ago is I see my friends and I see other people, and it's like the relationships they've built and the choices they've made and the risks they've taken are all based so dramatically in their understanding of self and their understanding of the moment. And it's just, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's huge. So, we've seen so much over, when you're a teacher, you see so many things. Sometimes someone will walk into a room and you're just like, you can see what's going on, and you want to go in and fix it all, but you know that they have their process. It's part of their journey to find it. And it's powerful when you get to be a part of that process and can help someone become the kind of person that they are meant to be and what they were born to be. And that's an amazing, I would say, privilege. So one more thing I have to ask you. So to the student right now who is going, I do want to pursue the performing arts, maybe, it could be anything from community theater all the way to Broadway and beyond or whatever.
Yeah.
What do you say to that student that wonders what's the point of even doing it right now?
Well, first off, I want to clarify something, because looking back at the answer to my last question, it made it sound, I feel like I sounded like I don't encourage kids to perform. And you're so right. I encourage them. Oh my gosh, I want them to perform. I want them to create. But what I don't want them to do is I don't want them to believe that that only means Broadway, or that only means this, that really becomes part of their life. And that's what, but my number one thing to any student, this is the number one thing, and I think you'll agree with me on this. This is what I've learned in 13 years. This will get you top ranks, 2 top ranks for me to give you a ticket to Broadway or a ticket to the big screen. Here's your way to earn it. Number 1, how quickly do you memorize? Mm-hmm. If you can memorize in a short amount of time, I'm gonna partially give you a ticket. Well, I guess there's 3 tickets. Ticket number 2 is you radiate. You are glowing goodwill, generosity, and kindness. Yes, you have bumps. Yes, you have down moments, but you absolutely, absolutely, absolutely shine ideal. And that third thing, are you willing to move like that? Are you willing to say no to any job that you're currently doing in order to take an audition? Are you willing to hear no 99 times before you hear yes? Mm-hmm. Those, if you can do all 3 of those, then I'll give you a ticket. And I have students like that. And those are the students that they come to me and they say, I will do this. Well, great, let's do it. But here's what you need to do.
That is awesome. That is so good. So on a lighter note, on our way out of this interview, for those of you who don't know, Mr. Helm has performed a lot. You've been in movies, you've been in commercials, you've been on stage, you've also directed a million things, right? So what is your favorite performance in any venue that you've ever done?
I love that. Well, what's so crazy is, yes, most of my performances occurred before I was 19. And I look back and I was in about upwards of somewhere between 80 and 100 different plays before I was 19 years old. So a lot of my acting was that, it's going to be 2 characters, and they're both from kind of the time of Christmas time. And that was Ebenezer Scrooge in my 7th grade performance of A Christmas Carol, I believe. And then I was able to play the Mr. Claus in Miracle on 34th Street. So those two characters, both in junior high. I had a junior high drama teacher and a high school drama teacher. Shout out to Michael Anderson, who I can't find because he has one of the most common names ever. And a huge shout out to Beth Atkinson, who is just both of them. We called her Fitz. That was her name in theater. She goes by Fitz. And they taught me so much, and it was huge. And those two roles were big. They're both, and what's funny is they're both about kind of sharing goodwill. I mean, ultimately, Ebenezer Scrooge, the beautiful thing about him is he takes one of the greatest turns of all characters. He shifts within a night, right? And that's big shift for him.
Powerful stuff.
That's like sound like him, bah humbug.
That had to be so much fun. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. I know that you'll inspire and encourage people who need it, and just enjoy hearing more about you anyway, regardless. So thanks so much. It means a lot.
Thank you. You're such an awesome human.
You are too, my friend. I hope you have a great day. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.